Today we're talking about a scene that not only changed cinema, but it remains the biggest reason why none of us take cutlery into the bathroom. It is, of course, the shower scene from Psycho. So grab your towel, your rubber duck and your stab vest, and let's climb in. The film Psycho focuses on a horrible and deeply twisted psycho called Marion Crane, who has naughty time with a man out of wedlock and steals 40 grand from her boss to go on holiday to the motorway. This is where she tells a bunch of porcupines to a lovely hotel owner and die-hard family man called Norman Bates.
A boy's best friend is his mother.
We all relax when we meet Norman because he's such a lovely host. He cooks her a delicious sandwich supper, he's such a good listener that he doesn't blink once, and he even goes the extra mile and checks she's settling in okay. In fact, he's so lovely, Marion realises how rude she's been and decides to return the stolen money and have a shower to wash away her sins. Unfortunately, showers don't undo crimes, and she shows how deranged she still is by turning on the shower without checking the temperature first. This is where what's known as the famous bit really begins, and director Alfred Hitchcock really plays on our darkest fears as a shadowy figure emerges from behind the curtain. We are squirming in our seats, shouting at the screen, "Don't go in there, it's occupied!" But here's the twist. It's not the toilet-based mishap we thought it was. It's actually Norman's mother stealing her life. She has the absolute heck poked out of her, leaving her completely dead. And just as we think she can't get up to any more mischief, Marion does a quick Heil Hitler and vandalises the shower curtain. And just in case anyone is still feeling sorry for her at this point, Hitchcock very cleverly zooms into the plug hole and then out of Marion's eye, signifying that her mind really was in the gutter all along. And that's it. It's only 3 minutes long, so why is it so scary? Firstly, the way it was filmed. Hitchcock cleverly disorientates the audience by intentionally filming it badly, with an extremely original, jolty style that people would never have seen before, especially because this was a long time ago when most people had never seen any film before. But with all this fast-paced cutting, we actually think we've seen Marion get stabbed several times, even though we only ever see one stab wound in the entire sequence. He even makes us believe we're looking at real blood by using an ingenious mix of chocolate syrup mixed with corn flour and real blood. So the scene is very scary to look at, but Hitchcock is a master at making us feel rubbish in every orifice, especially the ears.
You are doing all the listening.
Although Hitchcock became famous for movies such as the original version of Snakes on a Plane, called Strangers on a Train, he actually started his career in silent films, so was very good at telling stories without using any words at all. At no point does Marion actually say, "Help, I'm being stabbed at the moment," but instead Hitchcock just hints at it with subtle visual clues. But what he does do is add violins over the top to give it that extra horrible factor, because everyone knows violins sound awful. And he also uses clever sound effects. For example, the sound man said they should record the sound of a melon being stabbed because it sounds exactly like human flesh. And when he asked him how he knew that, he said, "Don't worry about it," and got to work. But it's these little details that just go to show how Hitchcock thinks of everything to make his stories come to life. From the painting on Norman's wall being of a woman getting killed, to the gaps between the tiles being the repeated letter H, which is famously short for help. The only detail he missed, however, was flagged by the visual effects guy, who said technically Marion's pupils should be dilated if she's dead, but when Hitchcock asked him how he knew what dead women's eyes looked like, he went all quiet and went and hung out with the sound man. But on the whole, the details were amazing, and Hitchcock also put in loads of clever references to birds. You've got the lovely hotel man who looks after his pet birds long after they're dead. Marion comes from Phoenix, which is a kind of a fake bird, and her surname is Crane.
Crane, that's it.
And cranes are often so tall they can be as high as the birds. Very clever. Some people think all this bird stuff highlights Marion's desire to be free, but I'm pretty sure it was just a shameless advert for his next film, The Birds. Psycho really is one of the most bone-chilling films out there, but imagine the impact it must have had on an audience in the 60s, when people would have been freaked out by someone eating with their elbows on the table, or a lady buying a car without a husband present. There's even one bit where a mattress gets murdered, which I didn't think was very important, but apparently back then it was one of the worst things you could do.
Matricide is probably the most unbearable crime of all.
A different time. I mean, we all know the 60s was a scary time to be alive anyway, what with everyone on drugs and nobody having a torch on their phone. But what's amazing about it is that it's still scary today, so much so that I didn't even get to the end of it. But I think it's safe to say the police give the naughty mum a slap on the wrists, leaving the nice man to concentrate on running his beautiful hotel. It boggles the brain what Hitchcock managed to achieve. Not only did he make the only black and white film that's actually any good, he gave birth to the famous movie tradition of naked people getting murdered on screen, which can be seen everywhere now, from Halloween to Godzilla. And he created one of the most famous scenes in movie history, right up there with the pull my finger bit from E.T. or the famous I am your father scene from Mrs. Doubtfire.
I'm not who you think I am.
So why don't you plop over to Prime Video, where there are loads of Hitchcock movies, but I think you'll like Psycho the best, and the message really will stay with you for life, that no matter what sort of bed and breakfast you run, sometimes a psycho turns up and starts racking up your water bill. Goodbye!